comrades in arms, so to say.
Very interesting that you brought about the entire character or the relationship, as you say, between Subhash Chandra Bose, Mahatma Gandhi and Subhash Chandra Bose and the Nehru family. What would you tell us about the kind of bitterness that existed? You said some leaders later in the Congress party tried to draw a wedge between Netaji and the Nehru family. Who were they? Would you like to talk about it more? And do you feel that because of this, the kind of place that Netaji should have got in the history books of India maybe was denied to him?
There were some, I think, who believed that they sort of did a favor to the Nehru-Gandhi family by sort of downplaying my father's role.
Yeah.
I'm sure that was not the case, say, with Pandit Nehru or with Indira Gandhi, who had known each other. My father came to see the wife of Pandit Nehru when she was on her deathbed, so to say, but the younger Gandhis, of course, had no personal relationship to my father. They didn't know him. And I think some of their followers felt that by sort of downplaying Netaji, they were sort of upgrading them. I don't know whether this played any role for them, whether it was of any importance, but that certainly, I think, contributed to the fact that my father was sort of given a secondary role. On the other hand, there were always many people in the Congress party too who were admirers of my father, who did not participate in this sort of downgrading him. But I think one thing that always hurt me more than the fact that my father was not given his due, maybe, the Indian National Army was not treated very well in the beginning. For example, many of these soldiers were poor people. They had lived in the rubber plantations in Malaysia, then emigrated to India when India became independent. And they were really poor, and they were not even given recognition as a freedom fighter in the beginning. And for them, I think that was very disappointing. The soldiers were not recruited into the Indian army after independence, which was, I'm sure, a great disappointment for many of them. The British Indian army soldiers became the major part of the armed forces in free India. It may be practical not to put soldiers from two armies who had been fighting each other into the same army, but it certainly was a disappointment for the INA soldiers. So that always hurt me more, that in a way they sort of had to fend for themselves, and the educated, skilled people found their way, but many of the simple people really have virtually lived in poverty.
What you're saying is very significant, because you're saying that probably you felt that your father was given a secondary role in spite of the fact that he put everything for the freedom of this country. And what hurts you most is the fact that the INA, the Indian National Army that he had built, the people who had fought for India, they were not given their due. Now that Prime Minister Narendra Modi has actually awarded a lot of veterans from the INA today. Indeed, yeah. 4 of them. How are you taking that? And does that kind of make you feel that INA is getting its due finally?
I think it is a gracious move. In a way, of course, it is a more symbolic gesture nowadays, because the veterans, I think for the most part, all of them have passed away. Even the youngest of them, for example, the Rani of Jhansi Regiment, the Women's Corps, had some very young soldiers, 15, 16, 17 years old, but even they have passed away as far as I know, at least most of them. But still, it is very gratifying that they get a recognition. even if it may not mean anything materially anymore.
Yeah. Some of the slogans that Netaji gave, which were very popular in India. I know you're not very comfortable with Hindi, but "Tum mujhe khoon do, main tumhe azadi dunga," and "Kadam kadam badhaye ja, khushi ke geet gaye ja. Ye zindagi hai kaum ki, to kaum pe lutaye ja." Would you do you actually say these lines or share it with other family members? And it'll be interesting to hear them from you.
Some of I'm not a singer. I have a terrible voice for singing, and I can't keep a tune. But some of my